one and all, I'm Alexis, aka The Soft Reader, and I'm here today to do the Pride Flag book tag. This tag was originally created by Common Spence, so I will leave his video linked down below. I highly recommend you guys go watch it because at the very beginning he actually describes and explains the history of the pride flag, and it's a really cool video, and I really like this tag a lot, so we'll go ahead and get into it. Question number 1 is Red or Life, a book with a spirited protagonist totally proud of who they are, someone who gives you life. And for that one I went with a book I did read this month, and that was Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. The main character in this story, Emmy, I absolutely loved, and I really loved a lot of her personality. She definitely is unapologetically queer, and her being queer in this book is never an issue. But I also just really was inspired by kind of how she handled the rest of the areas in her life, especially how she handled her film career, which you guys know I love film, so I especially loved that part of her life, but she was just such a great main character to read about. Orange is Healing, a book that made you as a reader find deeper meaning or catharsis in your own life. And I have to pick one of the best books I've read this year, definitely probably the most emotional book I read this year, and that was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the story of our main character Evelyn, who is bisexual. She's also Cuban American, and everything about this book just kept me interested, kept me on my toes, and I tabbed it up a lot because I had so many feelings while reading this book, and this book has left me with so many feelings. And I think back on this book and I think about some of the things that Evelyn says about, sexism in Hollywood and ageism in Hollywood and the way we expect women to behave versus the way we allow men to behave, and the way society views the queer community and stuff, and this book is just an absolute masterpiece. Yellow is Sunshine, a book that fills you with so much joy that it could brighten even your darkest days, and I'm gonna go with another book I read this month, and that was Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I loved every single thing about this book. Spoiler alert for my June wrap-up. But this book was just such an absolute joy, and even when this book gets emotional and it starts to deal with really heavy topics, I still was just so warmed by it, and I found the story so endearing, and I absolutely love Frances and Aled and their friendship and how weird and goofy they are together. Just the fact that this is a story all about this platonic love that these two queer people have for each other, and the fact that they become better people by being friends is such a beautiful thing, and I love it so much. Green is Nature, and it's a book set out of this world or a reality different from our own. So I don't really have any high fantasy books to recommend because I don't know that I've read too many high fantasy queer books, admittedly. So I went ahead and went with one that is more of a paranormal story, and it's one that I haven't recommended in a while, so I figured this was the best opportunity, and that is Shallow Graves by Callie Wallace. Our main character in this story, Breezy, is bisexual. She's also biracial, and this story is all about her waking up after being dead for a year with no recollection of how she died, and she goes on a cross-country journey to figure out what happened to her, and along the way she meets other paranormal creatures, and she also discovers that she has this ability to actually sense when people have done wrong and violent things, and so she kind of takes that and goes on a vigilante journey as well. But I absolutely adore this book. It was one of my favorite books of 2016. I definitely feel myself up for a reread because this book is just so good. Question number 4 is Blue, which is Peace. It's a book where a character finds peace with the difficult truth. I mean, come on. If you guys can't guess the book that I'm gonna recommend, do you even know me? And of course, I'm gonna talk about Nico in the House of Hades by Rick Riordan. This is the 4th book in the Heroes of Olympus series, or the 5th one too, because it kind of continues on. But I have to choose Nico's character specifically because of how important Nico's journey of self-acceptance was to me personally as somebody who questioned my sexuality into my 20s. Nico's journey and Nico's struggle with that was so important to me, and I found so much beauty and so much peace in his storyline, and I love him with all of my heart, and I think that he deserves love from everyone because he is a precious, small, underworld cinnamon roll, and that is just the truth. Question number 6 is purple, and that is spirit, and it is a book that deals with LGBT themes and religion, and I'm gonna go with another one I read in June, and that is Under the Udala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta. And this follows our main character Ijeoma, who lives in Nigeria, and it kind of follows her over the course of her life. And when she was about 12, 13 or so, she discovered that she was a lesbian and that she did love girls, and it heavily deals with her struggles throughout her life dealing with that, and a huge part of this story is the role that religion plays in Ijeoma's personal struggle. Her mother is very religious, and her mother does try to use religion to deter Ijeoma from acting on her attraction to women. In a lot of the moments when Ijeoma's really struggling and when she's going through a lot of inner turmoil, she definitely goes to religion and she prays a lot and stuff. And so this is a really good example of a book that heavily uses religion to kind of explore a character's struggles. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, I highly recommend Under the Udala Trees. Alrighty guys, so that was the Pride Flag book tag. I'm so excited. I wanted to make sure I got this one in before Pride Month was over, and it's like 9:30 at night and I didn't want to film a different video, so I filmed this one instead. It was already on my schedule, but I just moved it around to film it tonight instead of like 2 days from now when I was gonna film it, so whatever. Please recommend me any queer fantasy books that you guys have, because fantasy is my favorite genre, so if you have any recommendations for that, please let me know. If you like what I do, I upload videos on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and I'll see you guys soon with another one. Bye!